Shalom, Yasharala. This is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone and taught us this truth in every well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real quick on RT, which is dealing with basically this here debt bubble that America has, which is also carrying on to the global debt, all right? So it says, worst financial crash coming. U.S. is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. Legendary investor Jim Rogers, and you can go back, this is the rebirth of the Roman Empire. But nevertheless, hey, you see what happened in Rome. They were so far, their military was so vast and it was so far spread thin, all right? And just to keep, just if you understand, like having a huge standing army like China, they talking about, they got like a 2 billion man army or something, like a 2 million man army or something like that, right? But you have to understand, how how much it costs just to feed those people, all right? 2 million people all the time. Do you know how much it costs to house those people? How much it costs to move that much equipment, all right? So it's not really feasible for you to have a huge military where you have to feed all these people. And this is what happened in Rome, all right? But not only that, you have the new Roman Empire, which is America, all right? The revived Roman Empire, all right? But nevertheless, they're out here with their military equipment, and they have the largest military budget in the whole world, all right? But then again, at the same time, America's at the head of this International Monetary Fund and central banking, which they use, also the Federal Reserve, which they use to print up counterfeit money, or Salakia, fiat money is what they call it, but it's counterfeit money, all right? So it says, while monetary stimulus may have provided short-term relief in the financial markets, the enormous amount of debt created as a result will create negative consequences for the economy in the long term. And this is simple to understand. We go into this quantitative easing. I bring this out all the time. You got bills to pay. You got a job to pay your bills, but then you lose your job, and then you get a credit card to pay off your bills, right? Now, this month, your lights and everything get cut. It just stays on because your credit card and paid those off. But now you have all your bills onto this credit card, and then now you can't pay that credit card bill, So your bills are $100. You charge up on your credit card, they charge a little interest, so now it's $120. Well, you didn't have the $100 to pay off to begin with, but now you owe $120. What do? Go get another credit card, i.e. quantitative easing, or print more money. All right, so now that $120 or that $100 turned to $120, the $120 turned to $150. You get another credit card to satisfy that. Now it's $200, so on and so forth. Yeah, you're buying yourself time, but at the end of the day, you're stacking up more and more debt, So it says, that's according to investment guru Jim Rogers, who quantitative fund returned 4,200% in the first 10 years since its establishment. And hey, come on, man. You can already see how that goes. Again, if you was that credit card company that keep giving these people credit cards, you turn $100 that somebody was going to owe you into $10,000, Rogers told Kitco News that the rally in his equities since March was largely due to the debt building up from quantitative easing 6 months ago. The United States is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. Never has anybody been in so much debt. Since then, the U.S. has increased its debt by trillions more. If you give me a few $1 trillion, I will show you a very, very good time, he said, And going back, hey, you ain't never had no $1 trillion deficit like that till George Bush came into office, right? The day before September 11th, 2001, September 9th is when I think it was $10 trillion went missing. All right, and since then, we didn't double that, and still pushing. Hey, shit, just alone with the coronavirus, just this year alone, they didn't push, I believe, like $2 trillion or like $1.2 trillion for the coronavirus relief, them paying out that stimulus check, not to mention the $1 trillion they spent on the oil markets, when there was that so-called oil war between Russia and Saudi Arabia. Well, they were against America, but they was competing and lowering their prices back to cast out the third party. You got, give it to you in Jake terms, you got three dope boys on the block. Two dope boys get together and keep selling their product for a cheaper and cheaper price. In that movie American Gangster, Frank Lucas and them. The other dude, Nicky Barnes, decided he was going to cut Frank Lucas out by having the same product, just charging it cheaper, man. So the customer's going to go to the person who has the cheaper price, and at a certain point in time, the originator is not going to be able to sell his product because, hey, you got to buy it at a certain price. If I buy it for $100, I can't sell it for less than $100. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, that's what happened. So what did America do? Print more money. All right, continuing on. On the subject of gold, the investment guru said prices still have a lot of room left to climb. If I'm right, gold is going to go much, much, much higher before this is over. Gold may as well turn into a bubble. I hope it doesn't, because if it turns into a bubble, we'll have to sell it, and I'll never want to sell it. I want my children to have my gold and silver someday, you know? And ultimately, we know according to prophecy, man, all that gold and silver is being stacked up for the children of Israel, all right? So let me start here and you know what? Let me not go there first. Let me go. Well, never mind. We can start there. Let's go back. This is Jeremiah 51. I'm gonna start at verse. Yeah, we can go to verse 7 and just read on down. That's not the verse I wanted to grab. Oh yeah, it is verse 7. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. First of all, let's go back into this golden cup. This is, like they said, the largest debtor nation in the whole world. So if they have the most money in debt, you know, they're going to be living the most lavish. You know, you got two different people. You got a working man that goes to work, you know, working at Walmart or wherever, whatnot. You know, he's got his income trying to furnish his little apartment and whatever, whatnot, versus this other dude who's got this mega loan. He's got $100 billion loan from the bank. And he ain't got to pay it back for 100 years. Who's going to furnish their house a lot better, man? The person that's going to work every day trying to pay their bills at a regular rate, or the person that was given such a mega loan to just go out, you know, they ain't got to pay it back in their whole lifetime, you know? So this is, you know, how America became that golden cup, just printing more and more money, you know? It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken, all right? And going into this drunkenness is going into their philosophies and you know, their different treaties and their, how you say, these little deals that they keep making. You know, let me see, they go into this here word drunken. I'm in a bad area for internet. I'm not sure if it'll pop up. But nevertheless, you know, this isn't talking about, you know, America shipping out alcohol to these other nations. But nevertheless, with their philosophies, hey, sign this deal and we'll make sure this and that happens and so on and so forth, you know. All right, so here it is. It says figuratively, to influence. All right. So going into this here, it says Babylon had been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken, or influenced all the earth, right? So America is the one that's influencing the whole earth and to follow their paths. The nations have drunken of her wine, or the nations was influenced by America. Therefore, are the nations mad, you know, and this is going into, you know, all these different debacles and so on and so forth, just like, let's say, Turkey. You know, Turkey wound up drinking at his Babylonian cup and joining NATO or whatever, whatnot, and they're being forced to buy this F-35 and participate in that program. But nevertheless, they want to buy missile defense systems from Russia, which, you know, they're being forced to only buy arms from one source. You know, it's almost like a monopoly, you know. So it says, Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunk, and the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right. Let me read verse 8 and 9 as well, too. You know, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed, you know? Because as you see now, you know, we'll actually grab that precept next. Matter of fact, let me finish this. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, going into Donald Trump and his Make America Great Again with the economy and so on and so forth. All right. Oh, we created all these jobs. Then what happens? Coronavirus and all the unemployment rate skyrockets. All these loans and all this debt that's out here is being unpaid and so on and so forth, you know. Babylon is, verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies, you know. Because going also into the scriptures, you know, you're supposed to pay a man for his labors, you know. But what does America do? They want to taking out these here loans, and they keep extending them and getting more loans on top of those loans, and they never pay these things back. So it's just more and more debt that's being accumulated, you know. And this is what's causing Babylon to ultimately fall. Let me see. Did I want to grab something in let me go back one. There's also where is it at? Salaki, give me a second. Might have been in 51 talking about the Medes and the silver and the gold. But nevertheless, let me read this verse 13, Jeremiah 51:13. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, talking about America, living on these different nations, living off these different nations. We'll see how the next scripture, basically how America's sitting on these multiple waters. You can go to Revelation chapter 17. I believe it's the very last verse in that chapter where it talks about, the waters of these different nations, It says, thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thou endest come. Also going into Revelation 18 about all the different merchandises here in America, because America consumes from all these other nations. Also going into the petrodollar, man. Don't nobody want that money no more, and America's about to be pulled out of that whole power struggle, So it says, an abundant in treasures, thy end is come, the measure of thy covetousness, Because, I can grab that too. The precepts are just coming into my mind real quick. Hang on, there was a precept in here I wanted to grab. But nevertheless, can't find it right off top. But nevertheless, it goes into the Medes. These Russians, they're not going to want their silver or their gold, because why? Everything is being devalued over here. Really, America's gold and silver is not going to really be devalued. But nevertheless, they talk about that bubble or whatever, whatnot, because of the fact of, they keep inflating, or really super inflation is coming, Nevertheless, let's get back into the scriptures. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 4. Or verse 3, it says, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble and the strong men shall bow themselves, all right, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the window be darkened. And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. The point I wanted to grab was, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble and the strong men shall bow themselves. These top investors and people like this, and these people that own these Fortune 500 corporations, they understand what's coming, man. These top bankers and things like that, they understand. They telling you right now, man, this is going to be the biggest debt bubble that has ever been in the whole world. When it collapses, man, that's going to be it for America. And anybody that's tied to America is going to go down with them, man. This is why these other nations are trying to flee from these American dollars, man. They're trying to send these dollars back home, which is massively deflating the value of really, it'll cause hyperinflation of the products, but it's devaluing. That's the correct word, devaluing your dollar, man. All right. Let me grab what is that? Habakkuk 2, before I forget this one. All right, this is Habakkuk 2 starting in verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, going back into that Babylon juice. All right, that what was the word that they use? That they're basically their doctrines and the ways that they talk. Right. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. All right, instead of having and doing all your business here in America, not fucking with nobody else. You know what I'm saying? You always in everybody else's country and their business and their dealings and, how they have their country set up and how their countries are ran and governed, for instance, Cuba's basically staying at home because of the sanctions that America got on Cuba that, hey, look, if you want to deal with them, we're going to sanction y'all too. So look at Cuba that's sitting in there, what it looks like when you cut off from these other nations, even though they don't have no resources. But nevertheless, America is over the South China Sea, provoking them, telling them they can't build out there in their area or whatever, whatnot, making these trade deals and sanctions and forcing all these other nations to trade with America, If you understand that petrodollar, this is why all these other nations have to send their products to America, man. All right, to be able to get these American dollar bills to be able to buy, move, transport, refine, or sell oil, man. They need these American dollars, which they call the petrodollar, man. All right, but now you have like the BRICS nations and Russia trying to set up, their own oil pipeline to sell to Europe, and Europe is trying to buy it with your American allies over there. All right, which is going to kick the demand for America in their selling of oil, man. Which is going to slow down, how I say their return on investment, more or less. It's not really an investment, but their income coming in off the oil stream, man. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, he heapeth unto him all people. So, hey, man, he can't be satisfied. This country, America, with all these resources wasn't good enough. He had to go back on the other side of the globe and take all their resources back away from him, man. You can't compete on the open, fair market. You got to take everybody else's resources, man. It's like you trying to be in a NASCAR race, and everybody got their same little NASCAR or whatever, whatnot. It's basically down to the better driver. And then you go in and into everybody else's garage and steal all their damn cars, man. And he's like, well, they ain't got a car to race. I'm going to be the only one in the race just so you can win the race, man. Because you don't got the skill to actually drive a car like that, man. You can't compete on an even playing field. But it also says he gathered unto him all nations and heaped to him all people. But going back up to the top, it says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine. Right? So why is he gathering all these nations unto him? Like we read in Jeremiah chapter 51, talking about Babylon's been the golden cup, and it, made all the nations drunk with their wine, their philosophies and things like that. All right, so it's gathering all these nations together and trying to have these treaties and these pacts with them, trying to get them to become more and more docile, hand over their resources and so on and so forth, man. All right, this is what America's wound up doing, man, but at the expense of what? All right, verse 6 says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his. All right. So Americans keep going in these other nations, these other countries, blowing them up and then rebuilding the infrastructure that they've destroyed, and then claiming that, well, we rebuilt it. We got to sit here and man it. So we're going to get the first fruits of the resources, This is what they want to do in Iraq. They went and bombed all the oil infrastructure out there, sent KBR and Halliburton out there to rebuild it. And now they got basically control over the resources, man. All right. So it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. This thick clay is going into that debt, man. America is the largest debtor nation in the whole world's history, man. All right, so who else could this be talking about, man? This is talking, hey, first of all, this is going into Esau, Edom, but where is his mainstay at? It's here in America, man. All right. Verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? All right, because why? America has heaped all the world's resources over here, man. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein. Just imagine you got Debo on the block, and he came through everybody's house in the neighborhood and stole all their shit. All their TVs, their beds, their couches, all their food and everything. Now everybody in their house is looking stupid, starving. What you think they're going to do? They're going to collectively come up as a big-ass block party, march down to Debo's house, kick in his door, and take all his shit, man. All right, and what do you think is going to happen over here in America, man? This is what's getting all these nations, America's creating their enemies to come over here and spoil this here place, man. But ultimately, it's all according to these here prophecies, man. All right. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. All right. So going into all these different things, America wound up getting us into captivity over here. Slavery had all those hundreds of years of free labor. Then they go and bomb all these other countries and bomb all their infrastructure, and then force them to rebuild. Force them to let these Americans come in and rebuild it, and then take over their resources, taking everybody's resources at the force of the sword, man. All right. Verse 10, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. All right. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. So, hey, again, not only did they build this here place up by hardcore slavery and not paying the slaves, all right, but also they over in these other nations stealing their resources, man, bombing the hell out of them and stealing all their resources, man. All right, this is the hammer of the whole earth, man. All right. There was another one I wanted to grab real quick. Give me a quick second. Let me try to remember where it was at or what precept it was. Was that Isaiah? I don't think it was Isaiah 40. Wait. This is Isaiah 47 and verse 5. It says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt be no more called the Lady of Kingdoms. All right. So, hey, man, this was that golden city. But guess what? Now this is the great harlot, the mystery whore, the great harlot, the mother of witchcraft being exposed. All right. Wait, I'm gonna skip something. Verse 7, and thou sayest that I should be a lady forever, and thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither did thou remember the latter end of it, Hey, because going into, you getting a credit card or whatever, whatnot, yeah, you just got a $5,000 credit limit, $10,000 credit limit, and you go out just splurging, but you don't realize there's interest related to that, Just like they going over with all this massive spending, man. All right, therefore hear now this, thou that are given to pleasures that dwellest carelessly, Because, hey, man, with the credit system here in America, man, people ain't really have to worry about a lot of this shit here, man. A lot of people, these Edomites, they know how to use the system. They'll go and buy a house. Let's say they build a house for 100 something, 200,000. They go get a mortgage out on that house and they slowly pay it off. And then by the time, they halfway paying it off the house and gain so much more value, they go and sell the house and wind up making a profit off of it and go do the same shit again, man. All right. It says, therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures that dwell carelessly, that say in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall sit not as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Because they think that their inward thought is their house is going to go on forever. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come up upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. Going into that Babylon juice, that they feed in this wine they're transgressing by, man, their lies and their deceit, man. All right, but now it's all coming back up into their face, man. Everybody's now seeing this dirty whore for which she is, man. All right, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge hath perverted thee. Thou hast said in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. Because they thought that they could keep printing their way up out of any and everything, man. But now the chickens are coming home to roost. Everybody's realizing that they got this here funny money over here, and nobody want to deal with that, man. They realize that the money over here is funny money. The oil is all watered down. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to a bar and you buying, shots of that 1942. Come to find out, this shit is like goddamn, it's water in there with a little bit of some cheap ass tequila off in there, man. You just now realizing you didn't drink a whole bottle of 1942 and ain't even drunk yet, man. You can't even fail a breathalyzer test, man. And this is what these nations are waking up to, man. They thought they was having a good time and everything. Oh, shit, they got 1942 for the low, taking shot after shot after shot after shot. But 5 hours later, they at the end of the bar, they still sober as a motherfucker, man. You know what I'm saying? Now they mad. Like, I didn't just spend like $2,000, $3,000 on drinks, and I'm still sober, bro. This is what's going on. They realizing that what they've been spending their money on is really trash, man. All right? Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. Mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thy enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, thou mayest be able to prevail. All right, so going back into these things, what they thought they was going to be able to do with their finessing people by their fancy words and their little treaties and their little doctrines and whatever, whatnot, hey, man, we can just print some more money out, like right now they're telling you now is the best time to buy a home with near 0% interest rates, car loans are at the cheapest, you know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. But really, ultimately, they're taking more and more money out of your pocket, man. Now is the best time to invest into the stock market because, wow, they broke, man. They've been printing money since George Bush was in office to try to get themselves out of debt, man. But now, they can't borrow another dime, man. All right, like they say in that movie, Goodfellas, when you can't borrow another dime, so on and so forth. What do? You light a match, you blow the joint. It's time to make that insurance claim, man. You didn't bought this brand new Lamborghini or whatever, whatnot, rolled it out. Now you can't make the payments on it no more. You about to go in debt. What do you do then? You go and you set that bitch on fire and drive it into a lake and make an insurance claim, and you get paid off of that car, man. You didn't have your little fun. Now you trying to collect up off of it, man. But ultimately, your ass is about to go down with this here place, man. All right, I just wanted to bring out this here little lesson real quick because, dealing with this here great debtor nation that's laden itself with thick clay, man. It's going to come to a point in time where these nations are going to be like, how long, man? How long are you going to keep taking out these here loans to try to, build up your military? If it wasn't for y'all printing y'all own money, your military wouldn't be this damn big, man. Nobody's going to really value that damn money. If everybody just stopped using these petrodollars and things like that and start buying oil from other places, man, America would become all these dollars here would just basically become monopoly money, man. Nobody wanted to accept that money no more, man. If they could trade and buy oil on a different dollar standard or whatever, whatnot, And what happens when you try to change that? Like Saddam Hussein did. He was going to start selling his oil in, what was it, the British pound, I think it was. It was, I think, one of them European currencies or something like that. And Muammar Gaddafi, they killed him for like three different reasons. He was going to create a unified African currency. I think it was the golden dinar, using real gold. All right. They also found a natural water source out there, what they call primary water, because the real water we're supposed to be drinking come from out the middle of the earth, man. We have geysers and things like that, which that shit there is called like, what is it? Clear or blue gold, because if you're in the middle of the desert, you ain't got that much water and rain. Well, you got a natural source of water coming out of the ground. You can irrigate everything out there and start growing in the middle of the desert, man. So that's way more valuable than the actual oil that's over there, man. But not only that, they also want to run an oil pipeline through Syria, all right? And, this is what some of the fight was over there in Syria was for, because while that Nord Stream 2 pipeline that Russia's trying to get, to start servicing the European Union with their oil, man. But see, America's trying to stop all that because it's doing what? Going to cut their petrodollar out of play. make these other countries stop dealing in American dollars and stop buying their things, all right, which is going to greatly devalue this here dollar and cause hyperinflation here for you regular, everyday ass Americans, man. All right, bringing your dollars to nothing, man. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here quick little lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And citation and much love for you, I can pushing this truth as sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.